Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Karen Reborn. Kindly, if you're new here, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and after subscribing, ensure that you press the notification button. After that, watch my videos, ensure that you leave a comment, ensure that you like my videos, then share. So today I'm going to introduce us to a book, or rather analyze a book, that is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. These are a very rich book that everyone will really want to read, to dig deep, to know what it really contains. And I'm at your back. I'll tell you whatever is inside that you can go and have, just to support your reading, so that when you go back and look at the book, you'll get to understand some of the points in the book. Firstly, the book begins by Charlie Marlowe explaining to those on the board of the ship, that is the ship that is called Nelly, on the board of the ship, explains to them his life experience, that is in Congo, Africa. And so Charlie begins with the story. Actually, this book is a story within a story. Like, we're given this story, and inside that story we get another story, and that's how it's going. So the first story that we are introduced to in this book is the story of Dan and Fresleven, where Dan killed Fresleven because of a hen. They had argument because of just a hen, of which we are not even told where the hen went after the death of Fresleven. Now Fresleven is killed, and the body is thrown into some long grass that has grown even through the ribs, so that you can just see the picture that it shows. Now Charlie Marlowe takes people through his life experience, because Charlie Marlowe was a river steamer. He was given the position, and now as a person who really wanted to go to Congo and see whatever was happening there. And now Charlie gives us the story of River Congo while they are at River Thames. Actually, the whole of the story is told at River Thames, but about River Congo and about Congo actually, and everything that happened there. But the plot, and when you look at the plot of the story and how it flows, it really, but the main where the book is located, where the plot of the story is at, is the River Thames. Though the story speaks about River Congo, Charlie takes us to River Congo. Actually, it's kind of a traveling, because you see Charlie travels to River Congo, tells us the story. As the listeners, we are traveling there because you want to imagine what is happening in Congo actually. So that is what the book is all about. And so at the show, immediately after Charlie Marlowe is given the position as the river steamer, Charlie decided that I want to go to Congo. I want to go there and see whatever happens there, because he was really eager to go and see what takes place there. And in the process of doing that, Charlie decides that I'm going, despite the challenges, despite the obstacles that Charlie meets on the way. Finally, Charlie reached there, and the main concern, or rather the main thing that was pushing Charlie Marlowe to go to Congo was really because he really wanted to know who Mr. Coutts was. This is someone that has been portrayed in the book as an antagonist, and Charlie really wanted to meet this person. He wanted to meet him in person, to talk to him rather to talk to him. And that is what the book really revolves around, because it's just about meeting with Coutts and all that. So on the way there are obstacles, definitely, that even there is time that the sea capsizes and all that. But at the last, his dream is now valid and reaches Mr. Coutts, whom at the time he was reaching Mr. Coutts, or rather reaching Congo, there were rumors that Mr. Coutts was so ill and actually mad. And now Charlie could wonder that, am I really going to get him alive? Am I going to find that he has died or what? Because I want to see him and to talk to him. I want to know more about him. But finally, Mr. Coutts meets with Charlie, which was his dream of meeting me. And actually, Coutts does not die immediately. They meet with Charlie Marlowe, and after meeting with Charlie Marlowe and explaining to Charlie Marlowe about the evil he'd been exposed to, that's when Coutts dies. And Coutts was a man for instance, who had a lot of quotes. And for instance, in the book, you could see that it's noted up there that the only person that could talk in a meeting was Coates. He was only allowed to talk, and when you were in the same meeting, you could not talk. Your work was to listen at Mr. Coates. So you can imagine. And there is one famous quote by Mr. Coates which he used to really tell people all the time. And you show them you have what you have in you, something that is really profitable, and then there will be no limits to the recognition of your ability. That if you show people what you are capable of, what you have in you that is profitable, then they will not limit you at any cost, and you will be recognized in every place that you go. That will guarantee you the chance for recognition in every place that you go. And this is a person that was known as someone that you could sit and listen at. He was not learned actually, but the thinking, I mean, how he used to think and all that, and the quotes made people just want to listen to Mr. Coates. But again, Mr. Coates is shown in this book as someone who is brutal, because you could see in his company used to do well more than any other companies combined. You can take all the companies that were sent to Congo, you combine them, but they could not reach Coates' company. But what was the secret to this? Because Coates could really come and kill people. There was so corruption during his time. He could kill someone and take the ivory, which is used to represent even these corrupt deals that he had. He used to kill people to take the ivory by force. This is someone who is so corrupt in his dealing, and was so brutal because he could come shoot. And at some point he had reached a point that he had taken even a lot. He had drew a lot of people to him. They could just send them so that they can go there, take whatever they wanted, like, or rather the ivory. He could send people to go and take the ivory from the people within the region, the surrounding of that region, the native. Actually, the book says that the native people. So from the same Africa, he took Africans to go and take the ivory from people, killing people, shooting people, and it was just nothing to him. And now when Charlie Malo reaches Congo, after talking to Coates reveals to him whatever happened, the horror, how he killed people, and all that Coates revealed to him, and is now Coates now dies on his way on returning back to is it Britain, yeah, where he was sent from. Now Coates, when returning back, Coates now dies on the way. And actually it's a really challenging book actually. But to some extent, if you look at this book keenly, this writer, Joseph Conrad, yes, he's a writer, he's a good writer. But again, on the way he's been mentioning of characters in the book, you could see that any African could be mentioned by either having long black legs, dark face. You can see that you must be referred with whatever you are, like that black African, that with long eyes, I don't know what, sorry. So like used to refer to people. In the book, the author really refers to Africa in a different way, because in this book, Africans are voiceless. They don't have a voice. The colonizers had to speak and to say everything, but the Africans have no voice. They have no say in this book. And again, you could see that I can really say that Joseph Conrad is a potential racist actually, because you can see that Joseph Conrad, speaking about all these things that happened, how he referred to Africans in his book through the words that he used, is doing it silently. But again, if you are so keen, you can realize that this person really rebuking, or rather talking ill of the Africans. He's a racist actually, because if I take you through Achebe's article, there's what Achebe, there's a story. Achebe begins that narrative with a story talking about the student, the first student that he met. That this student was asking Achebe if there's ask Achebe, is Achebe a teacher or what? And Achebe said that I'm a teacher of African literature, and the student had to ask Achebe that African has history. Like, it really means that not Africa is something that doesn't exist. Does Africa have history? Does Africa have anything to be talked about? And they view Africa as a foil of primitive and civilized people, actually. And in this book, Joseph Conrad views Africans as the voiceless people, the uncivilized people. They don't have a history. And you can realize that a lot of authors write these books. They've not even visited the places they're talking about, but they're going to write about the places. It really happens with the Joseph Conrad. Is it true that Joseph Conrad visited these places? Why is it that he's marginalizing the voices of the Africans? Because Africans are portrayed as the voiceless in this book. So this is a point of you should put your attention there when analyzing this book, because this is a potential racist, speaking about magnifying the Europeans, actually, and demonizing, and that is what is happening in the book. But again, who are we? We have to read the book, analyze the book, do the book according to what we are directed to. But again, as a literary critic, you should again look at the book with the side eye, like actually the spectacle, from a different spectacle, and see, because the portrayal of Africans in the book is not pleasing at all. And actually, Joseph Conrad is a nice author. He's a very good author. This book is so nice, but again, he portrays Africans as the voiceless. So the book ends when these people again sees the clouds above the sky, and it was almost raining, and they have to rush, and now the story stops. But you come to realize a lot. The main ideas in this book, you come to realize the corruption, brutality, there's the marginalization of Africans, you see, and even the women. There's this queen that Marlowe met at some point, and this queen could not speak about anything because he knew everything, because he was so close to Mr. Coates. But again, she could not speak about anything, even though she was so close to this person, because he knew everything. He was the best friend to Mr. Coates. But again, as a female, you can't say anything. So this book is rich, but I will go with whatever Achebe says about the Africans, how Joseph Conrad portrays the Africans, how Joseph Conrad is actually portrays Africans as the voiceless, the people that doesn't have voices, the foil of uncivilized people, the primitive people, actually. And African is seen as somewhere with no history. Actually, you'll have just to visit. They generalize, actually. Someone, an author, just visited Kenya, and now he's going to use this to generalize that all Africa look like this. And remember, we have African countries that are different, actually. So that is what the book entails. Kindly, if you're here, subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch my video to the end, comment, like, share your views in the comment section, and share my videos too, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's meet again. Thank you for your time. Have a blessed time.